ikaze muri gahunda zacu zikomereje ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center ahagiye kubera umuhango wo gutanga ibihembo byiswe Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. Ibi bihembo bikaba bibaye ku nshuro ya kane, bikaba bitangwa ku bufatanye bw'ubuyobozi bw'ikirenga mu gihugu cya Katari ndetse n'umuryango w'abibumbye, by'umwihariko ishami ry'uyu muryango rishinzwe kurwanya ruswa. Abanyacyubahiro rero bategerejwe ahangaha barimo umuyobozi w'ikirenga w'igihugu cya Katari witiriwe ibi bihembo Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmad Al Thani wamaze kugera ahangaha mu Rwanda. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika nawe bikaba byumvikana ko araza kuba ari ahangaha, bikaba byumvikana ko mwamaze kubikurikira ko abo banyacyubahiro bombi ya Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame ndetse na Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmad Al Thani umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Katari bombi bamaze kugera ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center. Bakaba mu kanya gatoya barimo basura gusura ahari imurika bikorwa ritandukanye rijyanye n'ibi bihembo. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika rero akaba yamaze kugera ahangaha nk'uko mwabikurikiranaga kuri televiziyo zanyu, ahangaha mu cyumba akaba ariho aza kwitabira uyu muhango ndetse n'abandi banyacyubahiro barimo Perezida w'ishyirahamwe ry'umupira w'amaguru ku isi FIFA akaza kuba nawe ari ahangaha nk'uko mubikurikiranye. Akaza kuba hari Perezida wa Komisiyo y'Umuryango wa Afurika Yunze Ubumwe Musa Faki Mahama, hakaba hari umunyamabanga mukuru wungirije w'umuryango w'abibumbye. Abanyacyubahiro bose rero bakaba bari hano mu rwego rwo kugira ngo mu by'ukuri bitabire uyu muhango wo gutanga ibi ibihembo. Ni ibihembo bitanzwe ku nshuro ya kane, ibihembo bitangwa mu rwego rwo gushimira abantu ndetse n'ibihugu byakoze ibikorwa by'indashyikirwa mu rwego rwo kurwanya ruswa, kuyirandurana n'imizi yayo, nk'uko byatangajwe rero n'umuryango w'abibumbye ndetse no umuyobozi w'ikirenga w'igihugu cya Katari. Ibihembo byatangiwe mu Rwanda mu rwego rwo gushimira nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame ndetse n'ubuyobozi bw'u Rwanda imbaraga n'umuhate bashyira muri ibi bikorwa byo kurwanya ruswa nk'imungu imunga ubukungu bw'isi, ruswa nk'imungu imunga ubukungu bw'umugabane w'Afurika by'umwihariko. Ibi bihembo rero bikaba bigiye gutangirwa i Kigali nk'uko mubibona. Iki akaba ari ikimenyetso cy'ikiganza mu by'ukuri, ikimenyetso cyamagana mu by'ukuri kwakira ruswa, ikimenyetso cy'ikiganza cyamagana utanga ndetse n'uwakira ruswa. Tukaba twabwira ko kugeza magingo aya ku mugabane wa Afurika habarwa igihombo cya miliyari ziri hagati ya 50 na 60 z'amadolari y'Amerika buri mwaka kubera ibikorwa bya ruswa. Ibi akaba ari ibintu rero bikomeje kwamaganirwa kure n'abayobozi bo hirya no hino ku isi, ariko by'umwihariko abayobozi b'umuryango w'abibumbye ndetse n'uyu umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Katari Sheikh Tamim bin Ahmad Al Thani watangije ibi bihembo byitwa International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. Bikaba rero ari umuhango murakurikira 5 kuri 5 ahangaha kuri televiziyo y'u Rwanda. Ahangaha hakaba hari abanyacyubahiro batandukanye nk'uko mwakomeje kubikurikira, abanyacyubahiro barimo n'abageze ahangaha i Kigali kuva ku munsi w'ejo, aho bari bitabiriye ibindi bikorwa mpuzamahanga muzi bimaze iminsi bibera ahangaha, harimo ihuriro rya Kusi naryo mwakurikiranye ku munsi w'ejo, ryitabiriwe n'abanyacyubahiro batandukanye barimo nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame, Perezida wa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Kongo Felix Tshisekedi. Nk'uko rero mukomeje kubikurikira, akaba ari ibikorwa bitandukanye bikomeje guhuriza aba banyacyubahiro bo mu bihugu bitandukanye ahangaha mu rw'imisozi igihumbi. Mu kanya katarambiranye rero nk'uko mukomeje kubikurikira abanyacyubahiro nyuma yo gusura ahari ibikorwa bitandukanye bijyanye n'uyu munsi byateguwe ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center, bakaza kwifatanya n'amagana y'abateraniye mu cyumba kinini ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center bitabiriye uyu muhango wo gutanga ibihembo. Bakaba barimo abashyitsi byumvikana baturutse mu mashyirahamwe n'imiryango mpuzamahanga irwanya ruswa, hakaba harimo abakozi n'abayobozi mu muryango w'abibumbye, hakaba harimo intumwa z'umuryango wa Afurika yunze ubumwe nk'uko mwabikurikiye barangajwe imbere na perezida wa komisiyo y'umuryango wa Afurika yunze ubumwe Musa Faki Mahama. Ahangaha rero hakaba hari n'abayobozi b'ibigega mpuzamahanga. Nahoze mbona Dr. Donald Kaberuka, uyu akaba ari umuyobozi w'inama y'ubutegetsi y'ikigega Global Fund, ikigega muzi igitera inkunga ibikorwa bitandukanye by'ubuvuzi hirya no hino ku isi, cyane cyane mu kurwanya icyorezo cya sida, malaria ndetse n'igituntu. Ibihugu rero by'u Rwanda na Katari bikaba mu by'ukuri bikomeje ubufatanye mu nzego zitandukanye. Nk'uko mubizi, ibihugu byombi muri iyi myaka ya vuba bikaba byarakomeje kwagura ibikorwa by'umubano hagati yabyo, haba mu rwego rw'ishoramari, ubukerarugendo ndetse n'izindi nzego. Ibihugu rero byombi bikaba bikomeje gukorera hamwe kugira ngo umubano wabyo ukomeze kungukira ababituye. Ari no muri urwo rwego rero ibi bihugu byombi abayobozi babyo bakomeje kugirana ingendo nk'uko mwabikurikiye. Ntabwo ari inshuro ya mbere umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Katari aje hano mu Rwanda, kandi nk'uko mwakomeje n'ubundi kubikurikira, perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame nawe akaba yarasuye igihugu cya Katari mu bihe bitandukanye. Twababwira ko rero mu bandi banyacyubahiro bitabiriye uyu muhango harimo na perezida w'igihugu cya Namibia, perezida Gengob, ndetse n'abandi banyacyubahiro twakomeje kugarukaho ahangaha. Bose bakaba bitabiriye uyu umuhango wo gutanga ibi bihembo bifatwa nk'ikintu gikomeye mu isi mu kurwanya icyorezo cya ruswa, cyangwa se mu kurwanya ibyaha bya ruswa. Ahangaha rero tukaba nk'uko mubikurikiye, yari perezida Gengob, perezida w'igihugu cya Namibia, waganiraga ndetse n'umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Katari, akaba ari Sheikh bin Ahmad bin Al-Thani, nawe uri ahangaha. Byumvikana ko ibi ari ibihembo byamwitiriwe nk'uko mwakomeje kubikurikira. Murakomeza gukurikirana uyu muhango ahangaha kuri televiziyo y'u Rwanda.
Unveiling ceremony to mark the start of the 4th International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards under the auspices of Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. As you well know, this is an international event, and it has now finally come to the motherland, Africa. In the past few years, these awards have been held in Vienna, in Geneva, and also in Kuala Lumpur. And so we're truly excited that the 4th edition has come to Rwanda during a really significant part of the country's history this particular year. Thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us this afternoon, and we hope it's a rewarding experience as we champion all of those who speak truth to authority, insist on the right things being done, and fight the scourge that is corruption across the world and across industries. Now, what is the aim of these awards? Well, ultimately it's to recognize the efforts of the international community in combating corruption at every level, as I've alluded to. What we're doing here this afternoon is unveiling the monument. It is now an emerging tradition at these awards to leave a lasting memory and a reminder in the host city and the host nation. So today we're going to reveal to you a custom-built sculpture which has been designed by Ahmed Al-Bahrani, who's a contemporary artist from Iraq. His creation, which is just behind us, is a steel figure in the shape of a hand, and a hand with an open palm. The reason why this is because an open palm symbolizes transparency, openness, the values that underpin the struggle against corruption. Also, if you look at it, it looks a fairly strong hand, and I would say a hand that's able to give a good handshake. And the reason is that we want to encourage all the participants here and the delegates to continue to have an unwavering strength and resolve in their battle against corruption. When you look closely at the steel rim, you will see that it has many pivots and connections. And that's also to underscore the importance of collaboration and partnership globally in the combat of corruption. And those pivots come together with triangular connections. There's 186 of them. And these 186 points represent all the signatories of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. The statue is not just going to be a memoriam in Kigali. For the recipients of the awards later on, it will be the trophy that they also receive. And so, without further ado, I would like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, our host nation, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of the State of Qatar, His Excellency Hage Geingob, the President of the Republic of Namibia, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, and also His Excellency Mr. Gianni Infantino, who's the President of the International Football Federation, FIFA. If they would join me in receiving the hammers, that will be part of the first process towards us unveiling the monument behind us. I'll explain what the hammers are for. So I invite you, Your Highness and Your Excellencies, to please come forward. So these hammers are not, they are heavy, they're beautiful. They're not combat weapons in the traditional sense. They are hammers that are going to knock down the wall that represents the barriers to corruption. And what we're going to ask of you, gentlemen, is your strongest arm as you break down that wall to show us how intolerable corruption is and what you're willing to do to break down the barrier of corruption. So are you coming with me? I'll show you where. The wall has the word corruption inscribed in various languages, including Swahili, and that's to remind us of the international effort to break down corruption from Africa and across the globe. Okay, they've managed to smash it all the way down. And now if I may ask Your Highness and Your Excellencies to walk through along the carpet, making your way towards the monument that is being unveiled. And please stay the course, because as you walk through, we want to encourage you at the highest level to keep walking the talk of anti-corruption and doing the best that you can do in your executive positions to remind all whom you lead to do what is right. Having revealed the plaque and having seen the hand that symbolizes the openness, the collaboration, and the strength and resolve to tackle corruption, this marks the official handover and the start of the 4th edition of the International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards, to be held in Rwanda, the first African country to hold this honor. And now the rest of us will be making our way into the convention center to begin the award ceremony.
abakomeje gukurikirana gahunda za televiziyo y'u Rwanda rero tubabwire ko turi muri Kigali Convention Center nk'uko mwakomeje kubikurikira ahagiye harimo kubera umuhango wo gutanga ibihembo mpuzamahanga byo kurwanya ruswa byiswe International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards. Ibihembo bitanzwe ku nshuro ya 4 bikaba ibi bihembo byaritiriwe umuyobozi w'ikirenga w'igihugu cya Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani uri ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center, aho yakiriwe na nyakubahwa perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame ndetse n'abandi banyacyubahiro bitabiriye uyu umuhango. N'umuhango kandi nk'uko mwakomeje kubikurikira witabiriwe n'abandi banyacyubahiro barimo perezida w'igihugu cya Namibia Hage Geingob, hakaba hari perezida wa komisiyo y'umuryango wa Afurika yunze ubumwe Musa Faki Mahama, hakaba hari perezida w'impuzamashyirahamwe y'umupira w'amaguru ku isi Gianni Infantino ndetse n'abayobozi mu rwego rw'umuryango w'abibumbye nabo bitabiriye uyu umuhango ubereye ku nshuro ya mbere hano mu Rwanda. Byumvikana ko ni ibihembo bitanzwe ku nshuro ya 4. Uyu umuhango rero ukaba mu by'ukuri utegurwa mu rwego rwo gushimira abayobozi n'ibihugu bikora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo bihashye ruswa n'imizi yayo yose, kugira ngo rero u Rwanda ruhabwe kwakira uyu muhango. Byasobanuwe ko hari mu rwego rwo gushimira nyakubahwa perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame kubw'imiyoborere ye mu by'ukuri ikora ibishoboka byose mu kurwanya ruswa ndetse no kuyirandurana n'imizi yayo. Nk'uko twabikomoje rero hakaba haragiyeho inzego zitandukanye hano mu Rwanda mu rwego rwo guhangana na ruswa, gushyiraho inzego ndetse n'amategeko. Twaza dukomoza ku rwego rw'umuvunyi nk'uko mubikurikiye rero kuri televiziyo zanyu ahangaha mu cyumba kinini cya Convention Center. Abanyacyubahiro bakaba bahageze, nyakubahwa perezida wa Repubulika ari kumwe na Emil wa Qatar cyangwa se umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, bakaba mu by'ukuri bageze ahangaha ndetse na perezida Hage Geingob wa Namibia bari kumwe na perezida wa komisiyo y'umuryango wa Afurika yunze ubumwe Musa Faki Mahamat ndetse n'abandi banyacyubahiro, aho umuhango nyirizina wo gutanga ibihembo bya International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award ugiye gutangira mu gihe kitarambiranye nk'uko mukomeje kubikurikira. Ni ibihembo rero bigiye gutangirwa ahangaha muri Kigali Convention Center, aho uyu muhango ugiye kuyoborwa n'abanyacyubahiro bamaze kugera ahangaha bari kumwe ndetse n'abadamu b'abakuru b'ibihugu ku ruhande rwa perezida wa Namibia ndetse na nyakubahwa Jeannette Kagame madamu wa perezida wa Repubulika.
This part of today's program and just ask members of the media if they can make their way back into their designated area. Your Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, apparently I'm the smallest person in the room and needed a lift up. Your Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome you to the official start of the 4th edition of the International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards under the auspices of Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, taking place here in Rwanda for the first time on the African continent. Allow me to please acknowledge our most distinguished of guests, His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and the First Lady, Madam Jeanette Kagame, His Excellency the President of Namibia, Haile Geingob, and Her Excellency the First Lady of Namibia, Monica Geingoss, His Excellency the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mohammed, and His Excellency the President of the Federation for International Football, FIFA, Gianni Infantino. As I said, it gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome you to the 4th edition of the Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards. Please note that there will be translation simulcast for this event. English will be on channel 1, French will be on channel 2, and Arabic on channel 3. English, channel 1, French, channel 2, and Arabic on channel 3. Now, these awards are a true reflection of the world we live in. The world where good must triumph over evil, and where men and women of conviction must speak their truth. The International Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards celebrate all those men and women who push back against the scourge of corruption at whatever level in which it manifests itself in society, in politics, in business. It's the collective body of work by all men and women, and many of them who are seated in this room here today, who inspire others, teach, educate, and share ideas on how to achieve international best practices. And so to all of you, the men and women who are here today, those who will be receiving awards, but those who really create the environment, the ecosystem for support, we salute you and we say thank you. Let us also thank the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, as well as the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Center in Qatar, for instituting these awards. And of course, a wonderful and a warm thank you, thank you, thank you. It always feels like home when I'm in Rwanda, our host country. You have shown all of us the warmest and the most generous reception upon our arrival. Thank you very much. I said this is the 4th edition of the International Anti-Corruption Awards. Let's just see the genesis of the awards, the road that has been traveled, the partnerships that have been forged to get us to where we are today. Here's a video that depicts that journey. And here we are, Kigali, the land of 1,000 hills. This video reminds us that it takes a village. There's a proverb in Africa that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And what we've just seen here is this battle requires everybody, from world leaders to international celebrities, to those in academia and civil society, because everybody's effort matters. Ultimately, this is also a celebration, ladies and gentlemen, and I think in the spirit of us celebrating the awards coming to Africa for the first time, us being in this beautiful land, Rwanda, let's just take this moment to really pat ourselves on the back and enjoy being here. I think one of the ways to do it is always through culture and an expression of culture. And so in that spirit, please welcome warmly the National Ballet of Rwanda, known as Uruchechereza. How was that? The president says it's dicey. Maybe if I say it correctly, they'll come.
kunesha yarigemye umubisha mu gihumbi ngo
I think they're tremendous. They deserve another round of applause. They are the National Ballet of Rwanda. The president laughed at me, but I'm going to go again. Urucherereza. Might I also take this opportunity to acknowledge the Attorney General of Nigeria, Mr. Abubakar Malami, who's been delegated by President Muhammadu Buhari to be with us today. Thank you for joining us. It now gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome our host, His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, hosting these international awards for the first time as they come to the motherland, because, as many of you know, Rwanda is at the heart of it all. They are the motherland. Mr. President, over to you.
His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of State of Qatar, Excellency Haji Gengop, President of the Republic of Namibia, First Ladies, Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Excellencies, former heads of state and government, Mr. Gianni Infantino, President of FIFA, Excellency Dr. Ali Armari, Attorney General of Qatar and Chair of the High-Level Award Committee, and distinguished committee members. Mr. John Brandolino, representing Yuri Fedotov, Executive Director of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My main duty today is a simple one, but one that gives me the honor and pleasure to welcome you to Rwanda for the 4th edition of the Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. I wish to commend His Highness, the Mayor for the vision that led to the establishment of these important prizes and the good partnership with the United Nations. Your Highness, my friend, my brother, let me even dare say, my young brother, you know, I was taught that in leadership, leaders just lead. There's no young leader, no old leader, and there's no excuse for leading badly. So, but I dare call, therefore, His Highness, my younger brother, just because he's my friend. We trust each other. And I thank all of you leaders who are here for being here and for all together giving us this honor as a country to host this event, which signifies a very important fight, the fight against corruption. I want to thank the Attorney General for being at the center of this and worked very hard with our people. And again, it's a pleasure to work with you on this noble cause. We have just unveiled a stunning sculpture by the renowned Iraqi artist Ahmad al-Barhani, and this symbolizes both the openness and the firm resolve needed to prevail in the fight against corruption. We thank you for this iconic work of art, which will have pride of place here in our capital city, which will also go a long way to keep reminding us and encouraging us to ever be present in this fight against corruption. We started the journey. Thank you. The journey has already been started, so what remains of it, this event is an encouragement to finish it. In a short while, this year's award winners will be announced. I want to congratulate them in advance, not just the awardees, but all the nominees. Collectively, you represent the very best of the fearless spirit and determination required to sustain zero tolerance against corruption. Your Highness, Excellencies, distinguished leaders here present, I once again welcome you all and wish you a very happy International Anti-Corruption Day. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It now gives me great pleasure to invite His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Fetez Al-Mari, who's the United Nations Special Advocate for the Prevention of Corruption. He's also the chairperson of these awards. Thank you very much.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حضرة صاحب السمو الشيخ تميم بن حمد آل ثاني
Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar. Your Excellency President Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the participants, it is with great pleasure and honor, first and foremost, to welcome you today and to thank you and express my sincere appreciation for your readiness to travel all the way to Kigali to participate in this 4th Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. The first edition of this award took place at the UNHQ in Geneva, in Vienna, excuse me. The second edition also took place in the UNHQ in Geneva. The third edition, on the other hand, of this award took place in the Malaysian capital, Kuala Lumpur, and here we are today celebrating with you the 4th edition in Kigali, Rwanda. Some may ask, why Kigali? Why Rwanda? It is a habit that before we choose the place for the award, to ask a question to His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and in line with the United Nations, in order to choose the host country for this award. When we suggested it to His Highness, he said that this year the event should be held in Africa, particularly Rwanda. We asked with great impulsiveness. We asked His Royal Highness, why Rwanda? His answer was a little bit embarrassing for us. He said, go and read the history of Rwanda. Go and read the history of His Excellency the President, Paul Kagame. If you're not convinced, come back to me and we will discuss this once again. We went ahead and we read about the history of Rwanda. We read about the history of a population that suffered a lot, that no other people suffered in modern history. But in spite of all of these hardships, all of this pain, these people managed to turn a new page the page of the past, to look for a bright future for its people, for its children. We went ahead and read about the history of His Excellency the President, Paul Kagame, and we found a president who was able to ease the pain of his people, who was able to work tirelessly to turn Rwanda from famine, from exodus, from immigration to the 8th strongest developing economy in the world. You have created the Rwandan miracle, Mr. President, you and your people. Thank you, Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, for this choice. I would like to take this opportunity as well to address my thanks to Mr. Gianni Infantino, the head of the FIFA. You were able, in a very short time, as chair, to transfer football into a more transparent world and a more persistent world in fighting corruption. Your presence today comes from your belief in these noble principles. Your Highness the Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, your constant support of the United Nations for it to reach its objectives, sustainable development objectives, represents your belief that the people who came before us, the nations who came before us, starting with the Roman and Greek civilizations, the Islamic civilization, to the European Renaissance, would not have been possible without these civilizations working hard on instilling the rule of law. When these civilizations were incapable of implementing injustice and respect for the law and the noble principles, they were no longer capable of moving forward and therefore dwindled in expansion. Your Highness, we have learned from you that once you apply these noble principles, the principles of justice, the love of freedom, the rule of law, the persistence on one's principles, you cannot do otherwise. We have seen you do that in the darkest hours, and you were capable of leading us, of leading our ship to safe shores. With your wisdom that many lacked. Those who have wisdom have great goodness and will be remembered. Last but not least, I would like to thank you once more and to express my gratitude to your participation and to your presence. We promise you that we will continue on this journey, this thorny journey, while we rely on your utmost support, assistance, and presence. We hope that we meet in the 5th edition of Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. I would like to wish you a pleasant stay and a safe return to your countries. Thank you all.
Thanks to you, Dr. Ali bin Fateh Al-Mari, who is the United Nations Special Advocate for the Prevention of Corruption. Thank you for the work you do in the state of Qatar, and also as the chairperson of the board that has brought these awards to the African continent and Rwanda for the first time. And now representing the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime is His Excellency Mr. Yuri Fedotov, who, although he is unable to be with us today, he has decided to send a message via video link, and I think it's apt. We live in a digital age, so let's hear from him.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, corruption affects all countries. It harms people in their daily lives, robbing them of resources and opportunities. But all around the world, there are heroes tirelessly working to expose and fight corruption, often risking their lives to uphold the rule of law. We are all indebted to these brave men and women who deserve our support. We can help them by shining a light on the important work. That is precisely what the Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award has been doing. I am extremely pleased to see the award already in its 4th edition, and I am grateful to the Rule of Law Anti-Corruption Center for its contributions to the global fight against corruption. Since the United Nations Convention Against Corruption entered into force, countries have made headways on the criminalization of corruption and the recovery and return of stolen assets. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime has been working to support the international community in implementing the convention and using its review mechanism to tackle corruption. Next week, the world will come together at the 8th Conference of State Parties to the Convention to further advance the global anti-corruption agenda, including preparations for the UN General Assembly Special Session Against Corruption in 2021. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with only a decade left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals on time, we cannot afford to allow corruption toward the progress. Good governance is essential to eradication poverty and hunger, reducing inequalities, and increasing health and well-being of all. By showing us that integrity is not for sale, the Anti-Corruption Excellence Award winners whom we are honoring today are helping improve their lives, our economies, and our planet. Let us follow their example and together build a world without corruption. I thank you.
And please note, although Mr. Fedotov couldn't be here with us today, he has sent a representative in the name of Mr. John Brandolino, who's the Director of the Division of Treaty Affairs at the UN Office for Drugs and Crime. So thank you very much for being here as a UN representative. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can we give a warm Kigali welcome to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Hage Geingob.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Highness Emir of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have read the history of Rwanda, and therefore this is my already 4th time that I'm here since I became President of Namibia. I'm honored also to have been invited by him, by force. I was in Kenya attending another very important meeting, and both of them are my friends, President Kenyatta and President Kagame. So he also rushed to Kenya this morning. We were together there. We followed each other. Here I am now. So thank you very much for this. I'm not going to be too long. I'm endorsing what others have said. Corruption is a curse that we all have to hold hands to fight against. But to do that, I say transparency plus accountability spells trust. Trust in us, African leaders or politicians all over the world, is waning. So the only way is if we can be transparent, to be accountable so that our people can regain trust in us. Corruption is a curse. When I took office, I, without being required by law, declared all my assets, all my accounts under the Pricewaterhouse supervision, and my dear wife, who was a business person, also had to join me. With that kind of a declaration, we declared war against poverty and corruption. However, I'm not going to take too long, because while I have asked all ministers to declare their assets and also staff to declare their assets, and I was boasting that Namibia is not systemically corrupt country. But just a few weeks ago, during my election campaign, at the middle of that, Al Jazeera brought out what they call fish rot, they call it at home. This was the incidents where some of the ministers who were in charge were involved. Today, as I'm talking, 5 of them are in jail. So that's what we have to do to address the issue. So I'll just say that I'm here to witness this wonderful event and therefore to join you to say we must all hold hands. It's not only African disease. Some of them think corruption is in Africa. Who comes to corrupt Africa? So we must deal with them too. So thank you very much for having invited me.
Thank you, Your Excellency Hage Geingob. Thank you for being candid and frank and funny as well. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome on behalf of the African Union Commission, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed.
Thank you. حضرة صاحب السمو الشيخ تميم بن حمد آل ثاني أمير دولة قطر. Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda. Excellency Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia. First Ladies, Excellencies former Head of State and Government, Mr. Ali Al-Mari, Attorney General of State of Qatar, Chairman of the Board of Directors of ACE Award, Mr. Gianni Infantino, President of FIFA, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for having been associated with this 4th edition of the Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani International Anti-Corruption Prize, which at the same time marks the International Anti-Corruption Day. I also welcome the choice of Kigali to host this event because Rwanda distinguished itself by its performance in the fight against corruption. Furthermore, this partly explains its admirable achievements in the economic and the social fields. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the celebration of this day in Kigali reminds us, if necessary, that corruption is a gangrene which eats into the economic, social, and indeed political fabric of the country that it attacks. It's a major handicap for the progress and prosperity of states, particularly the developing states. A road that falls apart a building or a stadium that collapses, educational and health systems that perform poorly are often due to corruption, and the economic and social consequences are frequently disastrous. The huge sums that are not available due to corruption very often give rise to social claims, sometimes violent, as a result of overtaxation, underemployment, unemployment, badly negotiated or badly implemented contracts, and so on. The acuteness of the latter across continents, marked by street demonstrations and the rejection of authorities in place, testify the magnitude of the phenomenon. The African continent is unfortunately one of the biggest victims of this scourge, which is corruption. I am sad, but at the same time, I am determined. With leadership, with leaders like Paul Kagame, Hage, and others, we can fight and defeat corruption in our continent. The Corruption Perception Indicator, the Global Corruption Barometer of Transparency International, the Index of the Mo Ibrahim Foundation on Governance in Africa, all these tools measuring corruption published alarming statistical data on Africa. I'll point out that Africa remains the region of the world where corruption is the highest. The Mbeki report, requested by the African Union and published in 2015, reveals that Africa loses more than $50 billion every year because of illicit financial flows. This is to say that corruption today is the main obstacle to foreign investments in many African countries and consequently a barrier to employment, observance of human rights and economic growth of the country. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the face of this phenomenon, Africa adopted since July 23 an African Convention on the Prevention and Fight Against Corruption, which entered into force in 26. It is the first formal normative initiative to eradicate this scourge from the public and private arenas. A follow-up organ for this convention was established in 2009, which is the AU Advisory Board Against Corruption, whose chairman, Mr. Miaru, is even present in the hall. The main task of this institution is to carry out advocacy and sensitization activities to prevent corruption. A decade later, in 2015, the Agenda 2063 was adopted. Its Aspiration 3 projects a corruption-free Africa. And to mark the occasion, the year 2018 was declared the anti-corruption year, and President Muhammadu Buhari of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was appointed as the African champion against this scourge, and whose dedicated action have to be commended. Has the situation, for that matter, changed in the continent? In spite of all the efforts, nothing is less certain. Corruption is often linked to governance. Poor governance or approximative governance is a favorable breeding ground for corruption. Only an inflicting political will of the states, translated without any complacency, into the implementation of the national and international instruments can end corruption and contain its spread. But beyond individual efforts of the states, a true global coalition against corruption is necessary. Governments, national and international financial institutions, the civil society, and others should pool their efforts to track and denounce the corruptors and the corrupted. The reward offered generously every year by Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani to all those who shine in the fight against corruption is a remarkable contribution to the eradication of this phenomenon. He should be congratulated and thanked. صاحب السمو الشيخ تميم بن حمد آل ثاني أمير دولة قطر، اسمحوا لي أن أتقدم لكم بالشكر والتقدير والعرفان والتهنئة على المساهمة القيمة لمكافحة هذه الظاهرة الخطيرة، هذه الآفة البشعة وهي الفساد. جزاكم الله خير وإحسان، والله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Merci, Monsieur Moussa Faki Mohammed. And I know many young people got excited when they heard this name. We all love football, so please welcome our very special guest to the awards for this year's ceremony, His Excellency Gianni Infantino, President of FIFA.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Dear President Kagame, dear Sheikh Tamim, Emir of Qatar, dear President of Namibia, dear Musa, dear friends, dear First Ladies, apologies for not being good with protocol, but I'm a simple football person. And in football, we are all part of a team. And I want to believe that also in civil society, we are all part of the same team. Some are better, others are worse, some are strong, others are weak, some are unfortunately corrupt, others not. But we all have to fight together to win. And we all have to fight together as well to win the battle against corruption. And that's why we are here today, and I would like to thank President Kagame and Sheikh Tamim for inviting me here. It is a real privilege and a real honor to be spending some time with you and to be fighting for this noble cause. I have a special relationship to both Rwanda and Qatar. A personal one and an institutional one. Personally, of course, when I was campaigning to become FIFA president in 2015-16, during 4 months, I visited around 70 countries in the world. There were 2 countries which I visited twice, Rwanda and Qatar. I don't know if I got the vote of Rwanda and Qatar, but I certainly gained a lot of very good friends, including, if I may say so, President Kagame and the Emir of Qatar, and I'm really honored for this friendship, and I would like to congratulate them for what they are doing, not only in the fight against corruption, but for their country, for their region, for their continent, and for the world. Thank you very much. Shukran jazilan. Now it's important we are here because today is a ceremony. It's a ceremony to give awards to persons who deserve awards because they are fighting for something good. And in today's society, we need positive messages. We need to deliver these positive messages. And we have to do that everywhere and at every occasion. And we are as well in Rwanda, it has been said before, because Rwanda is an example. It is an example for so many things, including the fight against corruption. And I'm happy to be back here. I was speaking about the institutional relations between myself or FIFA and Rwanda or Qatar. We came with the new FIFA for the first FIFA Council meeting in Kigali last year, outside of Europe, in Africa. And of course, we will host in Qatar in 2022 simply the best World Cup ever. But we are here to speak about corruption. And unfortunately, corruption has also been linked with football and with FIFA. And I was hearing many times in the past, well, football is a mirror of society, and therefore if in society there is corruption in football, there is corruption as well. Yes, maybe, but this cannot be an excuse. It cannot be an excuse for what happened to FIFA, and that's why I can give the example of FIFA, because I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be FIFA president, if the unfortunate happenings that happened did not happen. FIFA had become, some years ago, a real kleptocracy. Unfortunately, FIFA had become a toxic brand. When I was elected in February 2016 FIFA president, nobody wanted to be associated anymore with FIFA. The banks didn't want to transfer money from FIFA. No partner wanted to be anywhere close with FIFA. I'm proud to say that today, 3.5 years later, FIFA is stronger and healthier than ever. But how could this happen? Well, with, of course, work, with dedication, with all these words that have been said today, transparency, good governance. Because at the end of the day, and that's what also the event of today is about, it is about strong will and about giving hope. And this depends on people. And people can make things happen. And that's why we are here all together, to make things happen, as we did in our little world of football, which is little, but as we know is the most important thing in the world, football. And that's why it's our responsibility to do the things right. And that's why we focused on, first, good governance, on auditing all the amounts that were coming in and that were going out of FIFA. We focus on the fight against match fixing, because this is a scourge of football. If people have the feeling that the match is decided before the kickoff, then football is dead. We increase the fight against doping, because it is important that the cheaters, including those who dope, are kicked out of football. And of course, we renewed our judicial bodies. Today, the chairman of our ethics committee is a former president of the European Court of Justice. The chairman of the appeals body is a former justice minister of Sweden. The chairman of the disciplinary body is a Supreme Court judge of Ghana. The chairman of the governance committee is a High Court judge of India. We are inclusive and we have the best people on board. But most importantly, dear friends, we started to focus on what our duty is: football, investment in football. And I think that if all of us, we focus on what our duty is, and we do it in an honest and in a transparent way, then we can succeed. In FIFA, we increased the subventions for football investment around the world from 350 million a year, in a 4-year period, 350 million US dollars, to 1.8 billion US dollars in the same 4-year period. Our revenues didn't multiply by 5, but we increased the subventions by 5, because we say now where the money is going in an open, in a clear, in a transparent way. When it comes to Africa, we increased our investment in African football from 25 million to 120 million every year. And this is what we have to do in order to show what we are doing. And dear friends, I believe that if all of us, each and everyone here, there are many important leaders, we are simply football persons, as I was saying. If all of us, the leaders, but also all of you here in this room and outside of this room, if we all do something, and if we all maybe use this hand over there, when the temptation of corruption is coming to say stop with corruption, then I think we have done something good for ourselves, for our children, and for society as a whole. So congratulations to the award winners, congratulations to Sheikh Tamim for having created this event, congratulations to President Kagame for hosting us here today, and I wish you all the very best. Don't forget to play football and to enjoy football. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you, President of FIFA, Gianni Infantino. And to stay with some of the football metaphors that you've used, indeed what we're gunning for now is to work as a team globally in the combat of corruption. As they say in Nigeria, let's stop dribbling each other and score more goals. It's now time for us to commence with the awards portion of the program. The reason that we're here, to see who are these giants within our communities doing the small things that have a big impact at large. There are 4 categories of awards which will be distributed to the winners here today, but there'll be a total of 7 awards that are distributed or handed out. The judges have selected these winners based on submissions that demonstrate the efforts that individuals take, as well as organizations across the world, to fight against corruption in their communities, in their organizations. We're going to show you videos to give you a sense of what each individual or organization is doing by way of their anti-corruption programs. Thereafter, we'll welcome each winner onto the stage. They will take a seat behind me, and then once all the winners are on stage, we will then hand over the trophies and certificates. So without further ado, the first award this afternoon is anti-corruption in the category academic research and education. Let's meet the winners.
My anti-corruption work has focused on researching existing forms of corruption in my country, identifying public perceptions of it, raising awareness, and building capacity. Bringing politicians and technocrats on board and encouraging zero tolerance of corruption by the public has been a primary goal of my work. At the same time, another goal has been implementing good practices and establishing an independent commission against corruption. A challenge that remains in my country is to address effectively the cancer of political corruption by means of legislation and its implementation. One of my major achievements in recent years has been the development of a holistic model for combating corruption that synthesizes the individual, company, and society components. Publishing internationally, whilst at the same time setting up and running a national anti-corruption NGO has been another accomplishment. An interesting experience that provided hope and inspiration for me was 2 summers ago when I was invited to watch a play on corruption, which primary school pupils had written and were performing at their school. Towards the end, addressing their parents, they sang a song with the words, "Be patient and better days for us all are on the horizon." That brought tears to my eyes.
And we hope the honor you receive in Kigali today also brings tears of joy to your eyes. Congratulations, Dr. Maria Krambia Kapadis. Please make your way onto stage. She is Dr. Maria Krambia Kapadis, ladies and gentlemen.
We have a special program that we do in the high schools of Tirana and Albania. At the beginning, we had about 5 classes in 3 high schools. But today we have 10 high schools and about 43 classes. More than 1,200 high students that we teach and ask them what they think for corruption. And one of the first years that I teach in this class asks the students, why would you choose to be judges or prosecutors? And one of them responded to me that making money. And from that point of view, I decided that I had to be against this idea and for all these years I worked to change them and to educate that giving justice is a very important work and a very important mission. And but I am hopeful because we see changes day by day, and we see that the Albanian peoples understand that they must change the mode of thinking for the justice that will grow up, our country grow up fighting corruption. I see that day by day the number of the people that say the right things or the truth about the corruption issues is growing up. It's growing up day by day. And this is a very good thing that makes understand that our work is in the right direction.
Doing the research that backs up the facts is Dr. Alban Kochi. Please come onto stage. Dr. Alban Kochi, ladies and gentlemen. Our second category is anti-corruption, but in the field of youth creativity and engagement.
Je suis l'un des premiers lanceurs d'alerte de la République démocratique du Congo. J'ai révélé au monde des agissements illicites, des malversations, des détournements au sein de ma banque, au préjudice du peuple congolais. J'ai perdu mon travail, j'ai été menacé et contraint à l'exil. Ma plus mauvaise expérience et ce qui m'a ramené dans cette lutte, c'est d'avoir un jour, dans le cadre de mes fonctions, avoir été menacé avec arme à feu par mon directeur général qui est le frère de l'ex-président M. Kabila. J'ai lancé l'alerte pour dénoncer les activités qui gangrènent notre société. La kleptocratie, il faut le dire, nous empêche de montrer notre vrai potentiel. Il faut souligner que la République démocratique du Congo est l'un des pays les plus riches en ressources naturelles. J'ai agi ainsi pour montrer qu'avec un peu de courage, on peut dire stop à cette fuite en avant, et j'ai ouvert la voie à d'autres jeunes comme moi de dénoncer la corruption qui gangrène notre société. Surtout le manque d'indépendance du pouvoir judiciaire et de volonté politique maintient l'impunité et ceux qui sont visés par nos révélations. Donc c'est une réelle injustice pour notre pays. La plus grande réussite pour moi, c'est d'avoir emmené ce débat au centre de l'opinion tant nationale qu'internationale, et d'avoir surtout fait de cette lutte contre la corruption un cheval de bataille même de nouvelles autorités qui promettent de lutter drastiquement contre la corruption. Je voudrais remercier ma famille, ma mère, je voudrais remercier PLAF, la plateforme de protection de lanceurs d'alerte africains, Henri Tulliez et William Bourdon. J'aimerais remercier les amis avec qui nous avons fondé la plateforme de lutte contre la corruption qui s'appelle UNIS.
For his being fearless and courageous, Jean-Jacques Lumumba, please join us on stage. He is Jean-Jacques Lumumba.
JMI is a non-governmental organization established in 1945, a huge global movement for young musicians across the world. We have over 60 countries in membership, and we reach out to more than 6 million audiences across the world. And we have more than 75,000 activities happening in the 60 countries where we're operating. We are very much aware of the power of music as a powerful tool for change, as a powerful tool for cohesion, as a powerful tool for development of communities, but not only communities, but countries, and even on the global scale.
Fair Play, it's a global program from JM International that aims to engage young people in the fight against corruption. It does this by creating an international platform to connect, engage, and empower young musicians. And we offer them training and coaching, and ultimately they perform, bringing their message to the public. Receiving an international award like the ACE Award, it's not only an honor and a recognition of the work that we've been doing for the last 10 years, it's really bolsters not only our organizational spirit to continue this work, but also that of all the musicians, acknowledging them for the work that they're doing. Having an award like the ACE Award gives us not only an opportunity to showcase our work beyond within our sector, within those people who are engaged in the fight against corruption, but it also gives us the will to go on. It says what we're doing means something, that it's appreciated, and it gives us a lot of energy to do more.
Please continue to do more, because there is message in the music. Matt Clark and Melody Zambuko. The team from Jeunesse Musicale International. Our third category is anti-corruption and innovation, the innovative tools used.
Four years ago, when I was thinking about my future profession, and it was my last year of studies at the university, and I didn't know what to do with my life. But then randomly, after volunteering for a few years in Southeast Asia, then I interviewed with a local journalist. They invited me for an interview, and it was the very first time when I saw in my life journalists. And then I heard very first time investigative journalism, this term. And I asked, what is investigative means, investigative journalism? And they told me that it's first of all, it is about human rights and then about corruption. I said, oh, I love it. I want to tell about one case when suspicious investors came to our country. I asked my first question when I read that news, that who they are, what kind of investors. And I did simple research, and I found that actually that company was about the bankruptcy, and how the company who provided annual reports with $50,000 incomes or loss can invest to our economy more than $1 billion. They won that contract without any public tender. And after 1 month, our government, they stopped the contract with that company just because I showed evidence. And whatever you do, doesn't matter, in journalism it's investigation or just simple reporting news, or you are saving lives and working in a hospital. If you will do it professionally, you always will fight against corruption.
As a journalist, I recognize the story. Some see us as a nuisance, but what you're proving to us, Al-Noura, is that we are the fourth estate. Elnura Alkanova. Elnura Alkanova, ladies and gentlemen.
SEMA improves accountability of public services by gathering real-time citizen feedback at public offices and delivering this feedback in actionable and easy-to-understand formats to those providing the services. First of all, we give citizens an anonymous and easy-to-use platform to give feedback directly after they've used a public service. Secondly, we give public offices the chance to learn how they are doing in the eyes of their citizens and improve their performance and feel proud of it. Thirdly, we give governments the evidence to make policy improvements for better service delivery across the board. When SEMA started to implement at different field offices, we discovered how important we were for the local stations. For example, when we had to pull out SEMA devices out of some of our police stations and place them at other offices, the officers in charge were begging us to keep the devices at their stations, even if not on, because the mere presence of having a SEMA device in their station created an environment of accountability and service care.
SEMA has collected citizen feedback reports from 45,000 people in only a year and a half, a combination of button presses and in-depth interviews. When offices use our system, we've seen evidence that service quality can increase by 25% and waiting times decrease 40%. So we're incredibly grateful for the support of the justice, law, and order sector in Uganda for selecting us as their service provider for citizen feedback systems. Together, we'll introduce the SEMA system at 50 more public offices in 2020. Now at only 16 offices, we've amplified the voices of 45,000 citizens. Imagine what we could do at 100 or 1,000.
Because technology does allow us all to get involved and say what we feel. So please welcome Natalie Dykeman and Connor Satley. Natalie Dykeman and Connor Satley. And the final category recognizes somebody who's dedicated his or her life to the fight for justice, the fight against corruption entirely. Anti-Corruption Lifetime and Outstanding Achievement Award.
I do recall from a young age my father sitting us down together, and I think the first thing he said is, first of all, you're not little presidents. There's only one president, and that's me. But what he said is, what I'm instilling in you are the values that you will grow up and impart to others, or some people may or may not know. My father became president of Zambia in 1964, which was a very lonely position to be in, because not everybody supported what he was trying to do to clean up the affairs of the country. Pre-independence, there was some groundwork done on anti-corruption, but it was mainly handled by the police force. So there was nothing really in the constitution to protect against corruption in the country. So when father came along, I think he saw the need and the gaps, and I think the first institution that was made or brought about was an organization called CITET, which was basically to monitor the economic functions of the country and to prevent corruption in the economic sector. And alongside that, he established something they called the Leadership Code, which enabled or required public citizens to declare their assets and what they owned, so that when they come into power or they have a position in the government, everybody knows, or the government knows, what they own. That was followed by the Anti-Corruption Commission, which was further strengthening the fight against corruption. And that was formed around about 1980. And that was also an instrument brought about through the Constitution of Zambia to protect against the vices of corruption. He was very strong about that, to the extent that we as his family, or relatives rather, were not allowed to take part in business. But those were some of the instruments that he created, and I think he believes that that was the foundation that he laid for further governments to come and cement the fight against corruption.
As you can see, the Lifetime Outstanding Achievement Award for 2019 is given to His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first post-independence president and founding father of the Republic of Zambia. However, Dr. Kaunda, on the advice of his doctors, is not able to travel to Kigali today. And so, to receive the honor on his behalf is his daughter, Ms. Cheswa Kaunda Silwizia. Welcome, Cheswa Kaunda Silwizia. Now, I know our leaders present today have met Dr. Kaunda, and I think you can confirm that he's not one to be spoken of or spoken to. He will have the last word. And so Dr. Kaunda sent this message to us.
Your Excellency, Mr. Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda, Your Highness, the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Your Excellency, Mr. Yuri Lord, Executive Director of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Acting Director of the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Center, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great humility that I accept the award for the Lifetime Achievement category of the Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. Unfortunately, I was not able to travel to personally receive the award on the advice of my medical team. I have, however, asked my youngest daughter, Cheswa Kaunda Silwizia, to receive the award on my behalf through this video clip. Please be assured of my deep-felt gratitude for the nomination. I accept this award on behalf of the citizens of the Republic of Zambia, who allowed me to serve them for many years and enabled me to lay down the groundwork for the fight against corruption in Zambia. May the good Lord, God Almighty, continue to bless and guide you all as you continue the fight against corruption. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
He does deserve a rousing applause. Now, to present these awards and hand over the trophies and certificates, I would like to invite our esteemed hosts and patron to join us on stage to award the winners of the 4th International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. So please welcome warmly, and I'll call them up in a group before your applause, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of the State of Qatar. He'll be joined by His Excellency Mr. Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. They'll be joined by Mr. John Brandolino, who's the Director for the Division of Treaty Affairs at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And Dr. Ali bin Fetez Al-Mari is already on stage. He's the United Nations Special Advocate for the Prevention of Corruption. now I'll announce our winners, and they will come up to receive their certificate and take a picture. We begin with you, Dr. Maria Krambia Karpadi. I'll call the next recipient up, Dr. Alban Kochi. Jean-Jacques Lumumba. The team from Jeunesse Musicale Internationale. The team from SEMA. And on behalf of her father, His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Ms. Chezwa Kaunda Silwizia. Oh, my bad, too keen. Elnura Alkanova, please come up. Next time you'll get Lifetime Outstanding. And okay, representing her father, KK, please come up. I think Dr. Kaunda deserves more noise. And now this is a slightly choreographed part of the program. Your Excellencies, Your Highness, we're going to invite you to please join the recipients in taking a group photograph. We are also going to please ask the President of Namibia, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, and the President of FIFA to join His Highness and their Excellencies in this opportunity. Thank you very much, Your Highness and Your Excellencies. May I ask you to please return to your seats at the end of the photo opportunity. And the recipients also to make their way back to their seats. So this marks the end of the 4th edition of the Anti-Corruption Excellence Awards, the very first to be held on the African continent, right here in Kigali. We hope by seeing the stories that were shared with you, you are inspired to do what you can do within your own career, community, even your home. At this juncture, I'd like to ask all our delegates to please stay put just for a little while. The ushers will motion to you how you exit the room. But first, may we thank our hosts, our leaders, and the patron, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, for creating this platform and this opportunity for us. We will allow our leaders to take their leave, and thereafter ushers will guide the rest of us how we make our way out. Thank you. May I make an announcement to all members of the media to please remember that the official press conference will start as scheduled in the room AD12. AD12, please present your badges at the door and then you'll be given access to that designated room. And on behalf of
y'u Rwanda tubashimire kuba mwakomeje kubana natwe n'umuhango wo gutanga ibihembo byiswe International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award byitiriwe umuyobozi w'ikirenga w'igihugu cya Katari. Uyu akaba ari Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Umuhango mumaze gukurikirana ahanga kuri televiziyo y'u Rwanda. Ni ibihembo bitanzwe ku nshuro ya kane, akaba ari ku nshuro ya mbere ibihembo bitangiwe ku mugabane wa Afurika, bikaba bitangwa ku bufatanye bw'igihugu cya Katari, by'umwihariko umuyobozi w'ikirenga wa Katari ndetse n'umuryango w'abibumbye. Ibirori rero by'uyu munsi bikaba byaranzwe n'ubundi gushimira intambwe y'u Rwanda mu rugamba rwo kurwanya ruswa no kubaka igihugu kigendera ku mategeko, aho mu by'ukuri intumwa yihariye cyangwa se intumwa nkuru y'igihugu cya Katari, Attorney General wa Katari Dr. Al-Mari, yagaragaje ko mu by'ukuri guhitamo u Rwanda kugira ngo rwakire ibi ibihembo n'ibi birori bitari ku mpanuka, hari mu rwego rwo gushimira mu by'ukuri leta y'u Rwanda, by'umwihariko Perezida Paul Kagame, umuhate we n'imbaraga ashyira mu kuhangana na ruswa ndetse no kubaka igihugu kigendera ku mategeko. Akaba yavuze ko ibyo u Rwanda rwagezeho mu myaka 25 ishize byivugira bitari kugerwaho mu gihe cyose ubuyobozi butari kwita ku kurwanya ruswa n'ibindi byaha bijyanye nayo no kubaka leta igendera ku mategeko. Ahangaha hakaba mu by'ukuri hatanzwe ubutumwa bunyuranye bwose buri mu murongo ugamije kurwanya ruswa mu rwego mpuzamahanga. Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame wakaba yavuze ko mu by'ukuri iki gikorwa cyabereye ahangaha cyongereye ikibatsi mu bushake bwa leta y'u Rwanda mu gukomeza urugamba rwo guhangana na ruswa ndetse n'ibindi byaha bifitanye isano nayo, hakomeza kubakwa leta n'ubuyobozi bugendera ku mategeko. Perezida w'igihugu cya Namibia Hage Geingob nawe witabiriye umuhango akaba yavuze ko mu by'ukuri iyi ari inshuro ya kane we ageze mu Rwanda kuva yaba perezida w'igihugu cyavuga ko ari ishema buri gihe kuri we kugera ahangaha nka kimwe mu bihugu bigaragaza mu by'ukuri isura ya Afurika yo muri iki gihe, Afurika ikomeje kwiyubaka, Afurika ikomeje gukora ibishoboka byose ngo ihindure amateka mabi yamenyekanyeho mu myaka ishize. Avuga ko mu by'ukuri ruswa atari inyafurika, atari ikintu gikwiriye guhora kirebwa mu isura ya Afurika gusa, ahubwo ko ruswa ari ikibazo mpuzamahanga, kuyirwanya bidakwiriye kureberwa mu ndorerwamo ya Afurika gusa, ahubwo ari ikintu gikwiye kurwanywa n'umuryango mpuzamahanga. Byinshi rero kuri uyu umuhango murakomeza ubikurikira no mu zindi gahunda televiziyo y'u Rwanda yabateguriye. Tubashimire cyane ko mwakomeje kubana natwe, mukomeze kugira ibihe byiza munogerwa n'izindi gahunda zose televiziyo y'u Rwanda yabateguriye.
Vuga non stop na Tera Story. Gura paki